This is our 6th survey on 404 compliance costs that we have just completed. And the way that we obtained the material was to send out an electronic survey that we distributed to all of our public company members, of which we have about 7,000, and of which we had, I think it was about a 20% response rate of public companies coming from the CFO or their direct reports to basically give us information on how their costs were tracking for compliance with 404. Most of them were accelerated filers, that is with revenues in addition of beyond $75 million. And they really have already had to comply with 404 from, this is their 3rd year of compliance. So they really do have a good breadth of information and data and cost materials. It showed this year, year 3, that their cost of compliance was $2.9 million on an average for 2006. And that was down from 2005, which was down by 23%. So there is a significant cost savings that we are realizing for the execution of the 404. However, when you peel that apart, you see that that cost savings was predominantly found with the management, not necessarily with the external auditor. And that's where we found that the costs remained flat from year 2005 to 2006. If you understand the piece parts of the cost components of compliance of 404, there's the management's costs and responsibilities, and then there's the external auditor's costs and responsibilities. And we found that the management's responsibility of cost compliance had come down the most significantly. And that was because they have gained efficiencies in terms of their internal staff was more knowledgeable, had controls set up into place, and also had the ability to capture the return on their initial investments in terms of software and startup IT costs. And as a result of those efficiencies, the cost savings were really gained from the management's cost of compliance as opposed to the external auditor. Those costs really have remained consistent, have remained flat, and have not gone down much at all. Our survey found that there were 18,070 man-hours spent to comply with Section 404, and that was a 10% reduction from last year's survey. So there was a cost savings on the part of man-hours that were put into complying with 404. In addition, there were about 3,300 man-hours on the part of the external auditor. Again, a cost savings, but it was much less of a cost savings. It was almost flat from last year. One interesting aspect of this survey that came out was that those companies who had a centralized operation for compliance of 404 had a cost requirement of about $1.7 million. But those companies that had a decentralized operation, it was much more expensive, and it shot up to about $4 million. And that is something that I think is going to be an important takeaway from this survey, because those companies that had been able to centralize their operation have been able to gain even further cost savings. The best takeaway from this survey is that you do have to have in place good, strong internal control for the company on a consistent, ongoing basis. That you cannot flip the switch and all of a sudden have good internal control. It requires investment, it requires commitment, it requires staff. And you have to basically have internal controls internalized with the philosophy of the company. And when you do that, the benefits that you gain are much more powerful because you do gain the benefit and support and belief and security of the investing community. The due diligence that you have to go on with internal controls, and also I think the fact that you have to do it on a consistent, ongoing, organic manner, you know, the popular word these days, is something that's very important that not everybody believes. I think that there's still a misconception that internal controls is a switch that you can turn on and off in an organization and sort of say, okay, we got to do our 404 compliance, let's turn on the switch, get the records, do the audit, and then we're done. And it's not that way at all. It really is sort of a state of mind. And I think companies really do have to understand that and embrace that.